Hey there, artistry students. This is snow day. And excuse me, it's not that I'm not paying attention to you, but I'm going to use my screen here to record this for you. And then I'm also here on my phone. I'm going to the Google Drive so I can pull up the page that I've written for you. So what I did was I went ahead and did 4 weeks of all of your assignments, what we're going to do in class and what's work. And partially that's because we'll give you a chance to jump start and get ahead. Some of you have been doing your work really fast and you have some extra time and you're like, oh man, if only Miss Anna would give me some more work, then I could just move forward. So, hey, I got your number. I did that for you. Secondly, Mrs. Amy Baum is going to be my sub when I am in Costa Rica eating mangoes, walking under waterfalls, doing yoga in the shala, surfing. Yeah. I'm not bragging though. I'm leaving this chilly weather behind. In 2 weeks, Miss Amy Baum, you may know her daughter Erin. She was, Miss Amy was a former RCT tutor, and she was also a former classical conversations tutor. And she is also a brilliant artist. You will love her. She's a very gentle spirit. She's funny. She's nice. She's fantastic. Beautiful lady. So this way, you're going to know what's coming, and you can be prepared for Miss Amy. So, what I'm going to open up right now the homework drive for you and remind you of what's coming up. So what we were going to do in class today was introduce the Baroque period after you taught me on mannerism. So let's take a little look back last week. Tosin, I know you weren't there, but there are notes on the homework page to guide you. So last week we talked a little bit about mannerism. I listed the notes there. Let's see. Your homework was to study El Greco and mannerism. Make sure you can answer these questions. So next week, we're going to move forward and make sure that you do, like, if you didn't do this, you're in luck, buddy, right? What is mannerism? What makes it rogue and out of the box? Who are the major artists of this period? Name 3. So the top one I wanted you to remember was El Greco, the Greek. What is the time period for mannerism? And I wrote, be ready for a quiz. So ta-da, no quiz. Okay. What 3 things about mannerism make it very distinctive? What is the deal with pigmentation by the mannerist? So most of this was in your Mona Lisa book, but not all of it. So because it was not as thorough as I really thought it should be, I gave you a video to see. I gave you some write-ups on the El Greco piece that we saw in the National Gallery of Art, and I reminded you to take a picture of it. So look back in your iPhone history, because I think all of you took a picture of it. Memorize your art cards. And of course, you know that we didn't have that workshop because the government is still shut down. Anyway, what can we do? Okay, so now today we would have introduced the Baroque period. The Baroque period comes after the Renaissance. For Baroque artists, you're going to notice when you start looking at Baroque art, we're going to look at a couple of things. We're going to look at Baroque art like paintings, for example, Caravaggio, and then we will also look at Baroque sculpture. Okay, so in paintings, you're going to notice that the background is just as important to a Baroque artist as the figure of people. In fact, even though the artists are creating a human form like you will do for your homework, Baroque style, often there's detachment from the compulsion to always include humans, which you see in Renaissance art. Okay, so it's you still have that beauty of the human form, what's the word I'm looking for? The putting of the human on the soapbox and really Gosh, my brain just lost the thought. Um, but all that we went through and how these Renaissance artists really took time to make the human form as natural as possible, understanding the stance, understanding the change of the hips and the shoulders, understanding how to connect this with their sculpture and the lighting and the shading, the dark to light, the sfumato with the smokiness filling in the shadow, the chiaroscuro, so that you have that beautiful blending and shading. But when you get the Baroque artists, you're going to see often a de-emphasis of this human figure, even though it's rendered beautifully and perfectly. There's still going to be a huge mastery of light and shadow, realism in all things. So it was not abstract whatsoever. Very, very focused on realism. In fact, there's a great section in the National Gallery of Art. If this, they're always changing exhibits, but it's been there for about a year. It's right next to a Renoir piece, but it's all of the Baroque still lifes that they have in this collection. And it's fantastic for no humans. And you're going to see this when you look at some of these videos that I have assigned for you. You have these amazing scenes with grapes and cheese and wine and a pheasant that is laying across a table just killed from the hunt. And the idea of this Baroque painting is that there's a moment in time that's captured. And that moment in time is filled with emotion. The art is meant to appeal to our emotions. And just that word Baroque, just over the top, just more and more and more. There's never enough. When does the artist finally stop on this piece is what you're going to ask yourself when you see the Baroque art. Okay, so the emotions that you're going to see can be violent, brash, fierce, volatile, heightened emotion, unrestrained emotion. These are characteristics of Baroque art. So what we were going to do in class was to learn some figure drawing, and then for homework, you go home and work on that figure and embellish it to really bring it to a Baroque level using Google, so that you can copy and see where you want to put that darkness and put that contrast of dark and light, where you want to really emphasize muscles. How are you bringing this emotion to your piece? Sometimes you might think about looking at superheroes and Marvel comics or any comic book and see how they really capture that emotion. It always reminds me of the emotion in Baroque art and sculpture. So think about that as a hint. I have videos for you on your homework page from the Khan Academy. They're really, really going to open up your eyes. I have a Britannica encyclopedia page. I really think you'll find some great information on any of your artists if you go to Britannica. It's succinct, not too much, but really enlightening information I always find in Britannica. And then I gave you the 2 sites that you're going to use to make your Baroque human figure. So that is still your homework. We just did not start the human figure in class. So go to those 2 sites, work on the human figure, make sure that your figure is like stopped in time. Is this person leaping to save a child? Is this person like caught in the act with a dagger? Is this person going to just slap someone who's insulted them? Figure out that spot in time that your figure is going to capture, but spend some time practicing the proportions. How far down the thigh does the arm go? When you stand up, your hand is going a little more than halfway down the thigh. Your head is about 1/8 the height of your body. The width of your shoulders for a man can often be the hips a little narrower than the shoulders. For a woman, the hips are wider than the shoulders. So use the tips that you're going to get on all of that for the figure drawing. You're also welcome to go to Pinterest and find some other tips, whatever works best for you. Practice this basic figure and then turn it into a Baroque piece. So use colors, make sure you're using the really vivid contrast. Think of dark burgundies and blacks and rich navy blues. You may paint instead of coloring with crayon or colored pencils, but get your Baroque piece. think that this piece is going to go in your book of the masters. So if you want to do a large one, it can be folded. If you want to do the same size, many of you are using albums that are 12 by 12. Fran, I know that your pages might be 11 by 14. I'm not sure what size that scrapbook you're using. But think about where you're going to put this piece in your book of the masters. And again, this could be a practice piece. You may spend some time on it and decide, hey, I really want to go deeper with this and go to the next level. So maybe it's your first one and it's not going to be the finished piece. Okay, so that is what we're introducing this week, what you're going to the next level. And all of that's listed here on your homework page. You're going to notice, like I said, you can go ahead in time if you want, but remember, if you have not mastered all of your art cards, don't think I've forgotten about them. You're going to get a few more added in mid-February. So make sure you've mastered the ones that you have now. Make sure you're working on your book of the masters. You've getting your timeline going and all of those steps. And then again, I'll be there next week, January 25th, but then you'll have Miss Amy Baum, and you're going to see, we're going to skip ahead. We're going to leave Baroque alone for a while and what comes after that. And we're skipping forward to work on Rothko and Alma Thomas. Both of them are at the National Gallery of Art. I want to really get your opinion if you want to skip ahead and just take a look at Rothko and Alma Thomas. But what you're going to notice is the beauty and the simplicity. They do not do figures. They do not do anything representational, unless you want to call a square or a geometric shape representational. But Alma Thomas is known for the first Black woman artist to have a piece in the permanent collection of the White House. The Obamas brought her piece, Resurrection, into their dining room. And there is a picture of that on the homework page on the Google Drive. Rothko is famous for turning oil paints into glazes, into washes, and doing layer after layer after layer in the experience that he wants his viewer to have. But it can be considered very simplistic. People often stand in front of both of these artist pieces and think, you know, why am I not in the National Gallery of Art if I could create something like this? Okay, so what do you think about the simplistic nature of their work versus how you can look at it in a different way and see the complication in it? The complication and the simplicity. So all of that is on the Google Drive. You can read ahead. You don't have to. This is an option, but that's what's coming. And with Miss Amy Baum, you're going to make your own Rothko and you're going to make your own Alma Thomas. So I think you're going to enjoy that. It's art that doesn't necessarily have a lot of pressure or stress. But at the same time, when you make these pieces, you might find yourself spending hours and hours because it really takes you away without having to wonder about where to put the ear and does the hair look natural, but focusing on the shapes and the colors, you can really think, go into your head and solve some problems. All right, so enjoy your snow day. Go make a snowman. I'll see you next Friday and bring all your work in. Great, enjoy. God bless.